Philippa Charlotte Middleton emerged into the world in the shadow of the 1980s, sandwiched between her elder sister Catherine and younger brother James. From their earliest days in the Berkshire countryside, an undercurrent of fierce competition flowed between the sisters. In every arena, athletics, appearance, romantic pursuits, Kate sought to maintain her primacy, yet Pippa, with her natural charisma and fierce determination, often managed to capture the spotlight despite her secondary position. Much like the Spears within her future in-law's dynasty, Pippa was expected to embrace a supporting role in her elder sister's narrative. Kate, always the main character, wielded her seniority, later reinforced by her royal marriage, to keep her younger sister within carefully prescribed boundaries. During the early college days, the two could be seen walking hand in hand to the flat bought by their parents in the chic Chelsea neighborhood. While Kate was known for her striking beauty, Pippa was known for her wit and intelligence. She earned a degree in English at the University of Edinburgh and at one point found work as a columnist. Kate, taking more after her father, was awkward and shy around people, but Pippa was the opposite. She was all Carole. She had an effortless charm that attracted many suitors. What emerges is a narrative as old as a Shakespearean drama. The reserved beauty and the charismatic intellect locked in a sisterly competition far more profound than the sanitized royal narratives would have us believe. In the early 2000s, the sisters could be seen club hopping and going from one private party to another. As part of the glossy posse, Kate enjoyed unfettered access to the world of the high society due to her mother's canny social engineering, which of course led to her chance encounter with William, and Pippa was always happy to tag along. Their coordinated rise through London's glittering social strata wasn't merely happening to them, they were active architects of their ascent, guided by their mother's vision. It is said that while she was a student, Pippa was very assiduous about joining the right social circle. She was very charming about it, but quite ruthless in cultivating the right friends. If she found someone had impressive social credentials, the right title, standing, connections, she would immediately pay them a lot of attention. Whereas before, she wouldn't have shown them the least interest. But the Middletons' journey toward ascending Britain's tyrannical caste system was not a smooth one. The aristocratic circles they struggled to be a part of mocked them from the very beginning, even for something as benign as the material they used to pave their driveway. According to this piece in the Mail, the Middleton sisters found themselves on the receiving end of some hurtfully snobbish comments coming from William's social circle. There are plenty of snobbish insults from people who believe the monarchy needs to stop marrying out of its class. One compared Kate and Pippa to the Bouvier sisters with their obvious desire to marry well. But where some people would reject the stench of snobbery, the Middletons instead yearned to be accepted by the very people who scorned them. Society pages in London archly called Kate and Pippa the Wisteria sisters, highly decorative, terribly fragrant, and with a ferocious ability to climb. Now, during William and Kate's split, the Middleton sisters executed a carefully calibrated campaign to reclaim the prince's wandering focus. This involved maximum exposure. With Carole's strategic guidance, they implemented a visibility offensive designed to rekindle William's interest through carefully planned appearances. The approach was simple. Rather than pursuing William directly, the sisters created a narrative of enviable independence. They became fixtures at London's most photographed venues, select nightclubs, fashionable restaurants, painting the town in scantily clad outfits, dancing with abandon, striking intimate poses with various men. each appearance generating media coverage that inevitably reached the prince's awareness. Now, William at this time, it seemed, was having quite a bit of trouble deciding on a suitable love match that checked all the aristocratic boxes. It seemed all the right women he pursued rejected him for reasons unknown, but I suspect it has something to do with his propensity for drink and his nasty habit of losing his temper when he didn't get what he wanted. Now, when it became apparent to the Queen and Prince Philip that William, at the ripe old age of 25, was nowhere close to finding a suitable bride, the question landed squarely on Kate. The Queen demanded that he marry her or let her go, to which William replied that he didn't think he loved her enough. Annoyed, his grandfather then chimed in, telling William that he should then stop stringing her along. Another 3 years would pass before he finally decided to propose. Sure, she was a commoner, and her parents were so dreadfully middle class, but she did love him. Besides, what Kate lacked in social pedigree, she made up for with her parents' perceived wealth, which we now know was merely a ruse. At best, Party Pieces was a small business, certainly not the kind of business that could sustain the kind of lifestyle the Middletons were living, but we've already covered that in the last video. Now, it can't be overstated how ensnared William was by the Middletons. He had lost his mother at a young age, and his father had become increasingly distant, prioritizing his relationship with Camilla over his own sons. This left a vacuum that the Middletons were only too happy to fill. Now, when William started dating Kate, Pippa, with her dogged determination to sidle up to the right friends, was happy to tag along. William, it is said, was very fond of her, and the two were said to get on well. She would tag along on Uncle Gary's yacht, where the youngsters were captured by the paparazzi, having the time of their lives. But Pippa wasn't merely Kate's accessory. Every time the sisters would go out, Pippa would steal the show, and she seemed all too willing to oblige. Then came the topless moment, captured by the paparazzi in full view of William. Now, watching her sister's easy rapport with William, Kate was said to be jealous of this attention. But eventually, she won the ultimate prize, and the wedding took place a few years later on April 29, 2011 at Westminster Abbey. Now, the first indications of cracks in the sisters' relationship took place on Kate's wedding day. Pippa, it was said, stole the show with her form-fitting white gown. The headlines, instead of reporting the nuptials of the happy couple, instead reported breathlessly on Pippa's derriere. Apparently, Kate was not too happy about that. She had long resented the attention her sister got and was always wary of being eclipsed by her. And here was Pippa on her wedding day, wearing white and doing just that. The Alexander McQueen dress catapulted her to fame, and instantly she became an overnight sensation. Soon, she was the talk of the town, and every media outlet, both at home and abroad, began clamoring for her. She would land on the list of every celebrity invite, even receiving offers of cash to attend parties, and she would even be compared to Kim Kardashian, a comparison she relished. She began to leverage her royal-adjacent connections to secure brand deals. Say it ain't so. It seemed the British press couldn't get enough of Kate's sizzling little sister, as she was called. Pippa's calendar was busier than ever. Her increasing exposure in the mainstream press was precisely what Kate did not want to happen. Kate began to complain that her little sister was trying to cash in on her royal connections. At the height of her popularity, she was offered to appear on shows. In the US, her star was rising, and it seemed that nothing could stop her. Something had to be done. At this time, William, no doubt at the urging of Kate, convinced Pippa to turn it all down. which she did. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that Pippa resented her sister for this, and there's been a deepening rift between the two ever since. Every time she seemed to be on the rise, she would be told to rein in her ambitions for the sake of her royal sister. This extended to who she dated. Now, Pippa, not one to concede the battle of their lifelong competition, was determined to one-up Kate. She dated a string of well-heeled men, some with aristocratic backgrounds. There was Nico Jackson, the dashing financier, and a slew of others, all of whom shared one common denominator: money. Some of it old money, and some self-made men like Thomas Kingston. Then there was Alex Loudon, a former Etonian who seemed to be seriously considering a proposal, but Pippa seemed to be having way too much fun, basking in all the attention of so many well-heeled men. She had her pick of London's eligible bachelors, and it was often reported that she was dating more than a few at the same time. Pippa, it seemed, was drunk on all the male attention. A year after Kate tied the knot, Pippa was just getting started. She was seen attending this very risque party of a French fashion entrepreneur, where she was photographed wearing a costume of a French harlot at a harem-themed party, with her louche host being pulled on a leash. The festivities didn't end there. The next day, the bunch could be seen taking a joyride through town in a convertible, where one of her male companions pulled out a pistol and began pointing at passers-by. Not long after, it was announced that Loudon had broken things off with her. Apparently, his mother did not approve, simply stating that she was not wife material. The palace was also super pissed, especially Kate. How could you do this to me? But Pippa was becoming quite annoyed. She had had it with Kate's constantly berating her about embarrassing her and the family. At Kate's insistence, she had given up many lucrative opportunities. She began to realize that she was being relegated to forever live in her sister's shadow. At the height of her popularity, she had even signed a book deal reportedly worth around $700,000. However, sales proved dismal, and she eventually decided to follow in her sister's footsteps, using her newfound royal adjacent fame to pursue the more reliable path of marrying well. She was soon seen out on the town with James Matthews. The couple first met at his father's luxury resort in St. Barth, and the two had an on-again, off-again relationship before finally moving in together in 2016. Eventually, he proposed with a ring that cost a whopping £250,000. In Matthews, it seemed Pippa finally found a match who checked all the right boxes. A former race car driver and hedge fund manager, James is said to have a net worth of around £2 billion. Now, when they announced their marriage, Kate, ever cautious and conscious of appearances, bristled at the idea of her sister marrying into the Matthews family. For one, the groom's brother, Spencer Matthews, was a controversial figure. He had a role on the show Made in Chelsea and other reality shows. He at one point bragged about how many women he had slept with, and of course was filmed snorting cocaine. Kate was not pleased. She reportedly urged her to end the relationship, citing Spencer Matthews as the reason. She was apparently wary that Spencer would embarrass the royal family, and that the scandalous younger brother would likely end up telling all of their secrets. Besides, Kate had other plans for Pippa. There's several reports stating that she wanted to appoint her as her lady-in-waiting when she eventually becomes queen consort. Now, folks, I don't really understand what a lady-in-waiting is. It sounds so terribly medieval. Noble women being pampered on by an army of maids. Now, the press states that the royal family did not approve of this plan, but I have a feeling the real reason is that Pippa turned it down. And why shouldn't she? Kate wanted to control her by keeping her close. Kate may have been envious of the prospect of her sister one-upping her yet again. Pippa had had enough of her overbearing sister. She had already sacrificed enough in service to family and the crown. In a surprise move, she failed to make her sister her maid of honor at her wedding. Pippa was ready for the soft life she longed for and that she knew she deserved, taking frequent vacations and purchasing multiple luxury properties. And while Kate was still missing, when these photographs surfaced last year of Pippa on a beach at her father-in-law's resort in St. Bart, Kate was not happy. It seems that Kate started to resent the fact that Pippa was able to enjoy a carefree life of ease without the burden of duty that comes with being a member of the royal family. And it became noticeable. The press started reporting about a frostiness between the sisters where they would ghost each other for weeks. Kate wanted the life that Pippa got. Pippa was able to unabashedly enjoy her wealth without having to worry about the pesky public constantly questioning her use of tax dollars to fund her lavish lifestyle while being accused of having a casual attitude toward work. She wasn't going to be her glorified maid. She was going to live the life of a princess without the princessly duties. But the Matthews family came with some baggage of their own. In 2018, David Matthews, father of James, was arrested on the charge of raping a minor. Now, the British press doesn't talk about this at all. Instead, they continue to use the younger Spencer Matthews as a shield to mask the family's shame. After the revelations, Pippa quietly retreated into the background, having secured her prize after so many near misses that threatened to derail her ambitions. She settled comfortably into her role of party-loving socialite turned proper lady. Pippa, it seems, had won. She could live freely, a life of ease, with no annoying public engagements, no one questioning her frequent vacations, and no intrusive paparazzi. It was becoming more apparent that they weren't as close as they used to be, and when Pippa had her second daughter, she did something that raised eyebrows. She named her Rose. This was surprising because at this time, William was rumored to be embroiled in a steamy romance with the beguiling Rose Hambury. The press, however, claimed that this was somehow proof that the affair rumors were untrue. Why would the sister of the Princess of Wales name her daughter after her brother-in-law's rumored lover? But I see it differently. I think she did it to send a message that she was no longer going to be in her sister's shadow, that she would no longer sacrifice her own image or ambitions for Kate's obsession with public perception. Kate may have gotten the prince, but Pippa got something much, much more important: her freedom. And that concludes the 3-part series, The Real Kate. I certainly hope you all enjoyed watching this, and as much as I enjoyed making it. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this was because I just got sick and tired of the sanitized version of the perfect princess that the British media tries to shove down our throats. And the themes in the series that I did have a lot to do with female sexuality, which I have no problem with it. I have no problem with Kate and Pippa exploring their sexuality to the fullest. I think every woman should be able to do that. But what I don't like is the way they try to portray them as perfect when they are just regular people like anybody else. Also, as far as the royal family goes, a big part of the discussion has to do with Meghan Markle and her new lifestyle show, and a whole bunch of people accusing her of using her title. And I wonder if people understand that this girl was famous in her own right before she married Harry. Even if they did manage to strip her of her title, do you think people would stop watching her? Do you think the British press would stop reporting on her? They would double down on their reports on her. People, in fact, would still complain that she's using her title. And I feel like the people who say this are the people who think that titles are everything. Like, who the fuck cares about title? A lot of the members of the royal family would be nothing without their titles. That's all they have. That's all they have to cling to. And as far as Kate and her family goes, I'm not sure if they're any different. Pippa may have had a promising career going at one point, and she was actually an aspiring lifestyle guru, but her book was not very successful, and I think part of the reason that happened was because of Kate. Kate actually convinced her not to market her own book, citing as the reason her own topless photo scandal when she was filmed by the paparazzi in France. So I think in a lot of ways Kate is a lot like William, in that the same way William tried to suppress Harry's ambitions is much the same way Kate has tried to suppress her own sister's ambitions. So anyway, I hope you had fun watching it, and I want to thank those of you who stuck around and who were patient, and also those of you who sent me super thanks. I really appreciate it. This takes so much work, which is why it takes so long for me to put these videos out. And so I really appreciate it when you guys show your appreciation by sending a super thanks or just watching the video. Just watching the video and watching the ads is enough support that I need. And so I really appreciate you guys. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you all in the next video.